the thumbs up yet.
I asked him to do it, that's my
Good afternoon. Welcome. This is the meeting of Tuesday, June 13th, 2017.
This meeting is being held in accordance with the Public Laws of 1975, Chapter 231, and adequate notice of this meeting has been provided by a notice sent to the Star Ledger, the local source, and posted in the main lobby of the municipal building and on the Township website. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I
pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Would you like?
If we could stay standing for a moment of silence in honor of our troops both here and abroad.
Thank you.
Also, I'd like to ask a moment of silence for a long-time resident of Springfield who passed away this week, Nancy Smith. Her kids went through high school and things like that.
Thank you. Madam Clerk?
Mayor Stampoulos,
Here.
Deputy Mayor Vasallo,
Here.
Committeewoman Bujanowski,
Here.
Committeewoman DuBois,
Absent.
present, Committeeman Huber.
Here.
Okay, thank you. At this time, I'd like to welcome our 7th grade students from FMG on their Civics Day. As many of you can see, we have our helpers up here. So I hope they've been enjoying their day with their department heads and learning about our town and how things work. So again, welcome.
Thank you, Mayor.
We have the presentation of pool project, Cornerstone Architectural Group, Mr. Robert Barringer.
Please come up.
Members of the governing body and mayor and members of the public, as everybody knows, we've been undertaking a pool redevelopment project. The township retained the services of Cornerstone Architectural Group to do the architectural work, as well as Mr. Disco for the engineering work. We've been holding regular meetings, which the Deputy Mayor, Maria Vasallo, and Committeewoman Erica DuBois have been attending, along with Mr. Mardini, members of our Recreation Department, the professionals that we've retained, and we've been going over every aspect of the pool house redevelopment project, trying to figure out what the best and most cost-effective way is to accomplish this, given the constraints of the budget of the pool, within line of the study that was commissioned by this governing body that determined that the pool can afford between $2 to $2.5 million. We've already approved $1 million last year, and this work has been ongoing, so that way we can pursue the second phase of the financial project. We've got the bond ordinance that's being adopted in the coming days, and then we will advertise with your approval after you've seen this presentation. We'll advertise bids. Our intent is to have these advertised and then awarded by August, so that way the project can start in September, right after the pool season concludes. And I want to thank the Township Committee for their support of this and for attending as well these meetings. And I really think that what Cornerstone has done and what we're about to see today truly is in line with the vision of the pool, in line with the needs of the community. They've helped us in doing it in a very cost-effective way, and doing it in a way that is time sensitive. Last thing we want is delays that are going to hinder the ability to open the pool next year, because that one will disappoint the public and will also add to the cost of the project. So without further ado, I want to introduce Bob and Donna, who are here to talk to us about everything they've been able to accomplish thus far.
Do I need a microphone, or can I just speak?
We have that microphone right over there, please, Bob.
All right, so you can take it off. Good afternoon, everyone. Appreciate the opportunity to be here. I just want to see how much, I think I'm going to be stuck here in the middle. Okay, no problem. I just want to introduce myself. I'm Bob Behringer with Cornerstone Architectural Group. Joining me today is Donna Miller, project architect from our office. We certainly appreciate the opportunity to be here to talk about the project, something that we're pretty excited about. We've actually been involved with this project on and off over the course of, I guess, approximately the last 2 years, right? We were here, I think, June of last year or the year before, talking about the preliminary aspects of the project. We're here today really to talk about the nitty-gritty and the details and some of the construction aspects of the building as we continue to develop our drawings and work towards the goal of putting this project out to bid. So we did distribute some handouts, which you have in front of you at the dais here, which consists of a floor plan that's been colored up graphically. Still good? Yeah. All right. And also, there's a color rendering of the elevations, what the building looks like on the exterior. And then also, there's an 8.5 by 11, what I'm calling fact sheet with regard to the project. So what I'd like to do is begin briefly just talking about what the original building was. So it was built in 1963, so it's an oldie but a goodie when we talk about buildings. And in my opinion, it has really good bones, right? So it's been pretty well maintained. It's looking a little old, it's looking a little outdated, but structurally, I feel that it's a building worthy of expansion and renovation. And essentially what we're looking to do is take it into a much different level, a new level, and basically turning it into a new building. So it's a good building with good bones. And presently, it's a seasonal building, right? You basically use it in the months during the summertime. And it's kind of interesting because the building really doesn't have much heat and it really doesn't have much ventilation. It's essentially just almost think of it like a beach house kind of thing where Mother Nature and the wind basically ventilate and help cool the building. And it's about 4,500 square feet in size, which based on what we see in terms of the needs in the facility, it's considerably undersized right now, right? And it's one story, which is good because multiple story buildings tend to need stairs and elevators and things like that that become a little bit costly. So the fact that it's a one-story building, I think does help in terms of what the building could potentially cost when we look to expand it, right? Any questions on the original building? Everybody knows it well. So our vision, which is basically, I don't see it on the screen, but it's up here in the front, the elevations and the floor plan, is essentially to expand the building. And we did that through a series of meetings and interviews with the Township's building committee, where we basically put all our ideas down on paper and talked about them and decided what was best in terms of how to expand the building. So one of the things of note, obviously, is the children's program that happens in that facility, and also the fact that your needs in terms of the citizens and the community that utilize the pool are looking for a bigger and better facility. So those directions and that information came out of our talk with the building committee, and we moved forward with those ideas. So the concept for the building initially was to sort of give it, boy, I'm in the way, a beach club design, whereas we thought it would be nice to sort of give it that kind of look, and the materials and the colors and the design, which we'll talk about in a moment, really begin to illustrate that concept. The other thing that we're looking to do, obviously, is turn it into a year-round facility, a 12-month-a-year facility through the use of a multi-purpose room, which would be used for a matter of different things, but it would include the children's program and potentially be used for other activities either in the evenings or in the afternoons. So the multi-purpose room is something that's really new to that building. Architecturally, what we've done that's the floor plan. Yeah, there you go. That's perfect. Thank you. So this is the new proposed front of the facility. And one of the things that you'll notice immediately is it no longer has a flat roof, right? So architecturally, we've looked to make it a much more significant and noteworthy building by adding this pitched roof, which will eliminate that flat roof. The front entry element is in the center there with that large triangle roof area. And what you'll notice is we've introduced these glass doors. The thought is that we want to try to make this building open and welcoming to everyone that comes to see it and drives by it. So the thought is that these glass doors, which would almost be like your garage door, except they've got glass panes in them instead of an opaque panel, allows you to see into the building when the building's closed. But more importantly, during the hours of operation, we would actually allow that door to be operated and opened so that the front entrance is basically open. So you're walking through an open breezeway through the building to get from the parking lot where you've parked to the pool. So the thought is we're going to keep that light and airy and open through the use of that glass when the doors are closed, and more importantly, when the building is open and functioning, those doors would basically be opened, allowing people to walk through. Sort of like you'd see almost at like a theme park. Typically, when you walk through their main entrance, you sort of have that same kind of feel. So that's what we're attempting to do here. The other thing that you'll see here on the right-hand side are two sets of doors, basically to the multi-purpose room. So the thought is that those multi-purpose room areas could actually be accessed from outside the building, so that if the building were closed for pool activities, the multi-purpose room could still be utilized and be open and available to folks that could basically use it from the outside. The multi-purpose room is also anticipated to be subdividable, so that we can basically divide it into half and create two multi-purpose rooms, so that there could potentially be two separate functions going on separately during any one time. Architecturally, we're going to move away from the blue painted block that presently exists on the facility and move towards a siding material, actually in two colors. You'll see there's a base color, which we're sort of representing as a beige, and then there's a cedar shake color that looks almost like a slate or a blue color. We're using those materials, which are more natural in their look and more natural in their colorization, to basically improve the look of the building, along with some decorative stone, which we're using basically as an accent at the main entrance. And then we're actually going to specify a asphalt shingle that has the look and representation of slate, although it's not actually slate, but it has a very nice look and a very nice shadow line to it, which will give the roof, I think, a very pleasing look architecturally.
Is most of that vinyl? Or is that vinyl siding?
So that's actually a Hardy product, which is a cement board. So it's not vinyl, no.
But wouldn't vinyl hold up longer? I mean, flexibility and things like that? That's my, I'm asking.
So vinyl is certainly an option. We felt as if we would basically take it to a different level and basically look at the Hardy board in terms of just its aesthetic. It offers a little bit more in terms of its character, I'll say. But vinyl is certainly an option, so we can certainly talk about that. So there's actually two different aesthetics, right? There's this sort of horizontal look of the clapboard, and then there's a shingle look of the Hardy. So the clapboard would be the lower beige, and the upper level, the gray or the blue, would be the shake style. And then we've actually introduced these trim boards to break that up also. Inside the building, we're basically talking about everything new, right? We talked about the building having good bones. Essentially what we're doing here is we're basically gutting the building in a sense. The existing systems that are inside the building are old, they need updating. So essentially what we're talking about doing is removing the old roof and then basically using the walls that are left inside that building to basically create the new space. So Anything new inside that building would be everything from the lighting to the plumbing fixtures, and would also include things like the mechanical systems and the electrical systems. The building would obviously now have heat and air conditioning. We're proposing to do that, obviously, in the multipurpose area where we're going to have folks that will be occupying the building. And then on the pool side of the building, where we have the locker rooms and a fitness center, those areas would be ventilated. We'd be moving air through them, but we wouldn't necessarily be heating or cooling them to any great extent because they aren't now, and they really don't need to be. We would have operable windows to allow ventilation into those spaces, and we'd have minimal heat to keep things from freezing during the winter. But in terms of how that building functions on what I'll call the pool side, we're basically approaching it that way. And you can see here in this yellow area, the multipurpose room and this dividable wall that we talked about earlier. There's also 2 sets of restrooms serving both sides of the multipurpose room, so both of those multipurpose room areas have access to restroom facilities. You wouldn't necessarily need the crossover between the 2 spaces, so that makes it very functional. And then we have basically a kitchen area and a concession stand, much like you have now presently. That really hasn't changed a whole lot. The nice thing is this yellow area here is actually now underneath the roof. The intent is to have the roof cover that area, so there would actually be a shaded roofed area for the concession stand, which is something that you really don't have now, right? So, and in terms of, we talked about sort of coming through the main part of the building as you enter this open area, which would basically be through the center spine. There's a canopy now at the front of the building. It's a new canopy that would be open air, so you can basically pull up and walk up under cover to get to the building, and then you're basically moving straight through the building, as you did before, as you do now, to basically move through the building, and then there's a covered area on the back side before you actually begin to approach the pool. So in terms of the layout of the building, it sort of has and still remains that sort of batwing design. The additions to the building are basically on the back of the building and on the one end. The rest of this building here is really the existing building, which we've sort of subtly, in some respects, radically changed. So it's still a 1-story building, and we intended to basically be that way. And then in terms of the finishes, right, everything that goes into the building in terms of what's on the floor, what's on the walls, what's in the ceiling, that again is all proposed to be new, so that we can update all that and hopefully get another 50-plus years of use out of this facility. So everything inside the building would basically be new too with respect to finishes. We talked a little bit about the mechanical, plumbing, electrical systems. Again, they are antiquated, they're old. Our intent is to basically upgrade them so that we can provide the proper level of capacity for the building that we're showing here. And let's see, so in terms of the size of the building, right, it's almost doubled in size. We've gone from 4,500 square feet to 8,888 square feet in terms of the new size of the facility, which is represented here in this plan. Any questions about the building?
Just to clarify, to reiterate, the building is designed in this fashion so that way you have one side that can be all year and one side that can be just for the summer. And the purpose of that is for the heating and cooling, to make sure that we minimize the expense there of having to heat and cool the whole building, but still have it so that way this whole side of the building can be used practically for events, whether we want to host things. You've got the kitchen, as Bob mentioned, you've got the restrooms there. And the building has, as he said, doubled in size almost, which is huge. We were able to do that without having to add that second story. But one of the big things that Adam and the Recreation Department were concerned about was the amount of room that's covered for shelter. We've got our camps, which are exploding in growth, and we wanted to make sure that they're not, in the event of inclement weather, standing outside in the pouring rain or having to worry about lightning or whatever else may come while the buses are waiting. So now you have all this covered area, whereas before they were actually hanging out in the restrooms and the locker rooms. They now have this entire meeting area space. You have the picnic sheltered area. You have this covered area over here as well. You've got the fitness center. You've got a lot more room now that can qualify as a covered area to protect the children without them having to be cramped in the locker rooms as well. And one addition that this building has that we don't have before, which with the times and with the demand, what you hear also is the ability to have a family restroom. A lot of people, I've heard at least over the years, and we've heard through the recreation and pool department, that there needs to be a family-friendly restroom. Some people feeling uncomfortable, whether they're bringing their children of the opposite sex into another locker room, and that's what this has also.
Where's your mechanical room?
So presently, right now, you'll see an area that's in this gray box that says utility, which is just below the
Okay.
check-in. Yeah, so,
Couldn't read it. Small type. I'm like,
understood. Fair question, though.
And we've heard from members of the governing body who have, both the deputy mayor and Committeewoman Du Bois and Committeewoman Bujanowski have been all sitting in on meetings and providing their input on based on what they hear from their constituents. One of the things that we've added is this fitness center, which does not exist now also at the pool. So we're adding yet another feature to make it attractive for membership. People can go there, do their cardio, do their extra training while being in close proximity to the pool. Makes us a bit more competitive as well with surrounding communities.
do we find out what's underneath this pool?
Sorry, what?
I'm sorry.
She was just raising
So
her
I'm
hand.
sorry, so one of the questions that I had was, so can this is actually gonna be closed off, from the other part of the building? So when it's not in use during the summer, if this is in use in the fall and the winter, you can close that off from the rest of the pool area, and you won't have access, correct? Or-
That's the intent, right? So we do have doors that sort of separate the two wings, right? So those doors could have locking features that allow basically to, not allow someone to access that area, or conversely, you could. So that's your option, but that's the intent, right? That we can basically create that security or that perimeter to basically use half the building if you choose to do so.
And that's why we put these doors at the front of the building to each of the meeting rooms, so that way you can access those rooms without having to go through the rest of it.
I don't want people, if you've got the pool, I know they take the water off the pool, right?
Yes, yeah, the
But, I
drain it.
just don't want somebody wandering around.
Right, it's a good point.
Yes, Mr. Huber?
Do we test it to make sure that, and do we know what's underneath the ground? I mean, that's,
So there has been a soils investigation performed. We are still waiting for that report. The initial finding, as I recall from Mike Disco, was they did encounter some fill material that they thought was unsuitable. Basically, we took test borings, right, where the additions are going to be placed. So it appears as if we may need to do a little bit of over excavation and come back with some compacted fill. But I have to
Nothing that would preclude us from building there, just that we need a
Yeah, what I mean,
different fill substance in there.
I don't want it to start this project, which you've done it, and all of a sudden, like, I heard it was used as a dump at one time underneath, and I don't know. I mean, it's before my time. I mean, I just don't want us to be a surprise all of a sudden happening. Say, it's gonna cost us $200,000 more than what we expect, or $500,000 more. This is what I'm concerned about with this.
It's a great concern, and I share your concern, which is why we're doing our due diligence now. A recommendation for the soils report was basically something that came from my structural engineer to say, hey, let's just make sure. So we did go through and had that performed. We're waiting for that final report.
And in your budget, does it also include the filter and all that other filter? Anything with the filter house?
Good question. So during our discussions, the comment and the thought as to what we're calling the pump house, which is that that building that's back behind the main building here, in terms of what that looks like in its aesthetic. So we're moving forward with an alternate for the design. So the bidders would basically provide a separate cost to update the exterior of that building to basically match the materials that we're proposing for this building. And I thought that was a really good point that came out of one of our meetings earlier to basically say, hey, let's see what that costs and let's see whether or not we can work that into the budget. So that has been considered, yes.
What about the pumps itself? The filters. I've been involved when the filters went out during the season,
Okay.
and people want to kill you. I mean, want to kill everybody.
We've been advised that those are in good condition now and operable. It did come up, I think Eric had mentioned it, and we looked into it, and Adam reported that we've done work to them recently and they're in good condition. And So, you know, structurally, it's all good. We're looking at now the aesthetics, because we don't want it just looking like the rest of the pool after we've done.
Because I thought in the report, and I could be wrong, I thought I understood it, when the company made it up, I forget the name of the company. He suggested upgrading the, filter system and all that to, you know, meet with everything else this way. We wouldn't have problems for, well, I don't know how long they last, 10 years, 20 years, whatever it is. I just want to make sure that everything is covered with it.
That's not you, that hasn't been Bob's scope of work.
Right.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah, that hasn't been their scope of work. Their scope is strictly the architectural of the
Okay.
buildings. But I'll make sure Adam reports to you, just to, I'll have him, give you a detailed summary of that. Oh, there he is. Adam, come on, please. Sorry.
No, I don't worry about it.
No, Val,
Brilliant.
Adam, I think, could address that better than Bob. I mean,
The filter systems are about 3 or 4 years old. The brand new sand filters, we have a total of 5 of them. So they are under warranty, they're working well, they're inspected, opening, and then closed out at the end of the summer.
All right, I mean, is that what the normal, I have no idea what it's.
The only thing
Is it?
we need to do to them on a regular basis is replace the sand that's inside of them, and we do that every, we're gonna be doing that, I think, every 5 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I just want to make.
but the system itself is fairly recent. So aside from that, it's operational and in good working
Now,
condition.
what about, and this is not for you, it's for Adam and you, the leakage we have in the pool. All leakage taken care of, because I know last year we went, a lot of times we went in there and we dug up, and there was a lot of leakage, you know, we repaired a lot. I know the baby pool has been being filled. I want to make sure that the leakage is taken care of. If we're getting all this work done, let's make sure everything's done. I mean, the leakage, I don't know.
We're in good shape in that regard. There's some natural loss of water every summer, but the major leak was repaired, I think, 2 summers ago. We do refill the main pool a little bit every weekend morning, and the baby pool just a little bit every morning, but nothing major is going on.
Okay. I'm just
In
checking.
the off season, there's some loss of water, but it's nothing that causes any problems with the filter system structure.
Actually, Adam, I have a quick question when you still have the mic. On the average, how many campers do we have?
I think over the course of the summer, we're gonna have somewhere between 200 and 300. Right now, we're close to in the middle of that, about 250 campers altogether.
Okay. So, Robert, just out of curiosity, your media center, it says 225 is the multi-purpose room. So how many more spaces or children can you fit in that fitness center?
Yeah, I thought it went out. Yeah, it's Allison. You're talking for this one. Okay, Bob.
Sure. So there's 3 ways as a designer we can calculate how many folks we can put into that space. We can look at it as standing room only, which gets kind of cozy. You're kind of thinking about like a concert situation. Or you can do it as basically as a chair setup, much like you have here in this in your room right here now. Or you can do tables and chairs. So on my little fact sheet here, I have 225 chairs, right?
Okay.
Which would be set up like this. If we were to not set it up as chairs, we could get well over 300 people inside that space
Okay.
for
My-
a short amount of time.
Yeah, my
Fire
only
department.
concern is, wait, hold on, Mr. Huber. My only concern is that 9 out of 10 times, there's a thunderstorm in the mid-afternoon, and they need to rush these children in shelter, and previously, they've been in the restrooms, so I think this was one of our biggest focus, is to have ample room so these kids didn't have to stay in the bathroom. So if, hypothetically, if those chairs are set up and we don't have ample time to remove them, is it possible to fit some in the fitness center?
Absolutely. Again, that's it's sort of a multi-layered approach to evacuating in that type of situation that you're describing. First of all, we have the area basically where we're calling a picnic shelter, right, where we can at least queue those young folks up as we get them into the building, right, because they're going to be coming this way through a pair of double doors. Then we can still utilize that space as this space begins to fill up. If you have too many children or it's basically over-occupied, we still have covered area here, and then we still have the fitness center. So I'm more than confident that we've basically addressed that concern. The building actually grew in size with respect to the multipurpose room or the meeting room when we basically began to discuss those numbers.
Okay, thank you.
That was one of the big priorities, was when we were looking at the first two concepts, option one and option two earlier on. They didn't really expand the building by that much. And the feeling was, if we're spending over $2 million on this, we want it done right, and we want to make sure that there's adequate protection for the youth and the campers. So this actually now is doubled the building, whereas before I think we were going up to 5,000 and 6,000 only. So we still were going to have a deficit. So now I'm confident, I think Adam will agree, that we've got more than enough room to handle our current campers and the growth that we're projecting should the camp increase.
Thank you. Any other questions? Open it to the audience.
Pardon?
Anybody from the audience have any questions? Please come forward.
Just put the mic over in the middle.
State your name and address.
Okay. My name is Cy Malman, 65 Redwood Road, Springfield. I have a little bit of knowledge with this since I was involved with this many years ago. I also have a degree in municipal management and recreation. I've designed recreation centers. And I know all the problems we had at the pool. And the one you have to talk to is Disco. Because when we dug up the entire apron around the pool because of all the leaks, and we replaced the entire filter system, and we checked all the pipes under the cement. There's no one who's going to know this pool better than Disco, and I think he should be really involved.
I think he is.
Yes.
He's the engineer.
Yes.
He's the engineer,
Yep.
right?
We hired Mr. Disco. He's been attending all the weekly meetings since we retained him. And his, as you said, Mayor Molman, he was the mayor of Springfield. You remember the applause.
That's better.
He's been involved from the get-go in terms of checking out the underground, the
Yeah.
flood issues, the piping, and we're lucky to have him because, as you said, he does know the pool quite well.
Well, I think they designed it. His
Yes.
father probably built it.
Yep.
I mean, they go way back. But if anyone knows, because of everything we did,
Right.
he and Sam, where'd he go?
He's working the TV monitors.
All right, well, Sam was there too, so he should be big time involved, but it's,
Okay.
Thank you.
this is a major production. I honestly think it's too expensive for what you're gonna do unless you're gonna close Chisholm. It sounds like you wanna take everything away from Chisholm and use this.
Well, Chisholm is rented almost every weekend, am I correct, Adam? No. I mean, I was surprised, I didn't realize that either. I mean, we could use that facility just to rent out.
Well,
Because
that's
I know
good.
it's almost every weekend, something's going on.
Well, you know better than I do, but, I just think you gotta talk to him, because we had tremendous leaks. I mean, we lost so much water,
I remember.
you
Every-
and we replaced the pool filters twice.
Okay. Thank
And
you,
it's
Mr.
an old
Malman.
pool, so you gotta be careful, because you got wear and tear.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions from the public? The committee? Please state your name and address.
Mike Bartosh, 77 Tudor Court. I'm just thinking about the overflow that would be going into the fitness center. You're going to have people, if it starts to rain, the adults may want to go in and work out there. Then all of a sudden, you've got an overflow of camp children coming into that portion of the building itself.
I think that's a good problem to have if we have an overflow,
Is it?
but
He's right, it is a good problem.
I think
It's a-
that issue's gonna be, can't even.
I
be
mean, it may not
considered
happen, but then again, it may happen.
Yeah,
That's a question that will be dealt with operationally. That fitness center is available as an option. It's not the first option. We have the meetings rooms, which provide plenty of room. We have the covered areas. That is in case more room is needed. And should we get to that point, I think, Adam, pool manager, the camp managers have done a fantastic job over the years with even less room than this, managing the crowd. So I think this gives them the resource to better handle that.
Just food for thought, because I plan on taking advantage of the fitness center.
Good? That's a good
My
start.
second question is, which Rich brought up in reference to the exterior of the building, whether it be wood shakes or vinyl. The wood shakes, can you power wash that?
Or what you said.
Or are you gonna have to-
Cement board, they say, so cement, Mike.
So
Pardon
it,
me, a
yeah,
cement board.
so it's actually
Oh, it's a cement
it's
board.
cement
Okay.
board that looks like a shake. So
Okay.
to your point, yes, it is washable, absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank
You're
you.
welcome.
What holds up better? The cement or the vinyl? Cement will hold up, but I think it'll crack easier. You know, I think, you can have, like the vinyl they have nowadays, I can make it look like anything. I mean, they have done fantastic things with it.
Like I said, we can certainly explore the option of vinyl, and I'm not going to discount it. I mean, I agree with you. You can get some very good, elegant-looking vinyl these days to look both like a clapboard or like a shake. We've just had tremendous success with
Okay.
the Hardy product, and
Is it easy to, in other words, if I get a crack in one, which happens, is it easy to replace one here and one there, or do we have to, you know,
I don't think replacing the cement board would be as easy as replacing a piece of vinyl siding. Vinyl siding is much
you say
easier.
cement board, I look at it like the old asbestos houses.
Yes.
Like with shingles,
Right.
shingles, that's what I look at it, and they're very brittle, and that's, I'm just.
We have
yeah.
another meeting this Thursday, so we'll, if you guys can please be prepared to
Absolutely.
talk about those options.
And the cost difference between each one, I mean, you know, I'm just, you know, just
Yeah.
wanna make sure.
The vinyl is certainly going to be a more cost-effective solution. I'm a little more concerned about down the road and just in terms of its durability and its aesthetic, because it's going to be down low when you've got folks moving about, bumping and things like that. So I'm thinking that the product right now that we're recommending is a little bit more durable, but we'll do some additional due diligence and
Appreciate it.
provide you with that info.
Okay, great. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Anything else?
We're all good? All right,
Do you like it? She said we should vote no on.
okay. Let's move on.
Which one do you?
She'll tell us.
I was the same way.
Yep. Yep.
Moving on to public comment. At this point, if anyone from the public would like to come up on agenda items, please come forward, state your name and address, and be mindful of our 5-minute time limit.
Anyone? Okay.
You know what, can I just say one more thing about the pool too? So, so what I want to say is that, people have asked, so where the building is originally, we're coming into the pool area. So we're not affecting anything in the parking lot, it's all coming in towards the pool, all right? So I just wanted to clarify, because the girls had questions, so.
Okay, thank you.
Moving on to reports.
Moving on to
Oh, I'm sorry,
reports.
here we go. There you go.
Okay. I make a motion to accept the total amount of payroll and vouchers for the time period 5/24/17 to 6/13/17 is $4,894,874.75.
Maria?
Second?
A second? Sorry.
Committeewoman Wisnowski,
Yeah.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Vasal.
Yes, sorry.
Committeeman Huber,
Yes.
Mayor Stampoulis.
Yes.
I make a motion to approve the summer recreation personnel as submitted.
Second.
Where are we?
Roll call.
Committeewoman Wisnowski,
Yes.
Committeeman Huber,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Vassallo,
Yes.
Mayor Stampoulis.
Yes.
Who's woman up here? I was gonna put him in the top.
Mr. Quick, do you have a budget status report?
So we're gonna do their budget status.
I do.
Next, go to
As everybody got over the weekend, or on May 31st, I did submit my budget status report. There's nothing unusual. If you also saw, there were 2 pages, including the variations, that I tried to capture anything unusual that was going to come up for the year. And luckily, there's nothing major in there. There's one item that I would like to note, and that is, as of June, I'm going to be booking what they call the RUT, which is the Reserve for Uncollected Taxes. That's going to be $1 million, and that is going to cause some sort of distortion because, as a general rule, I don't amortize that. So you're going to see that at least 6 months or $1/2 of $1 million, which is $500,000. Other than that, if you have any questions, I'm here to answer.
All right, we're all good? All right, thank you.
Mr. Clerk, do you have a tax collector's report?
I do not, but I believe it was already submitted to you.
Any questions?
Yes. Any questions on that?
No.
Chief Cook, we'll start with you.
Start with me, okay. First, I'd like to apologize to the young men and women here. I didn't get to meet you this morning. I was a little tied up with the Caldwell students doing the historical tour, which some of you, I did see some familiar faces, and maybe you've met me during that. So, welcome. I hope you had a great day. I'm not sure who was with my department, but I heard you had a good time and asked a lot of questions. Those 3 young ladies. As far as my report, be very quick. We had received a state grant for enforcement of seatbelt violations. It was the Click It or Ticket program, which we had displayed on our message board by the firehouse. Well, I'd like to think it was successful because we had a lot of enforcement. Officers wrote a total of 194 summonses. Not only seatbelts, but it also included other violations as well. And out of all those stops, due to the enforcement, we also had 2 arrests for DUI. So I consider that a successful campaign. And I will just, due to the topics that I'm going to discuss on investigative matters, it's just stuff that I like to hit on quite often. I do in my articles that are in the paper. Again, I'm only mentioning it as a reminder. There are a lot of scams out there, and we've been receiving the latest types of scams are kidnap phone scams. There was a resident who received a call saying that we had kidnapped a relative of yours. We're in another country. Can you please send money? Again, this happens quite a bit. People tend to panic and just like, where can I send the money without questioning anything? Try to get in touch with the relative who they're saying is kidnapped. Is there a possibility it's a real thing? Very, very slight. You're better odds of winning, the Powerball or something. But, confirm it. Don't immediately send money. Give us a call. Let us know. We'll help you out. We'll walk you through everything. Another thing that I do mention and this happened to someone, unfortunately, and not to say, ladies, that it's just you, but leaving your purses unattended in a shopping cart in grocery stores. We had a resident who did that, and her purse was left there, but the wallet was taken. And by the time she found out, went to pay, there was already activity on her credit cards. However, we were able to identify that individual, and that individual was already arrested, so that came out successful. And one other thing I will hit on is, and I may have mentioned this last month, but we did have a burglary at a place, a business in town, more of an office in town down in Echo Plaza. And, excuse me, detectives were able to lift some prints off of that. Excuse me, which did identify an individual. That individual was arrested, and going through the state police system, we're also able to tie that individual into 2 other office burglaries that occurred on Morris Avenue in January. So the work by the detectives led to, the closure of several office burglaries. So kudos to those guys. They did a great job on that. Other than that, you have all my usual facts and figures. If you have any questions on any of it, I'd be more than happy to entertain them.
Any questions?
I'd just like to mention, the letters that went out to everybody in town, I've gotten a very positive, response from it. Here. What is this? I mean, I got a very positive response, and they're very happy that we did that. I mean, it was a very good thing that we did, at the last meeting, I think it was the last meeting, before that, whatever it was. It was a very good response for it. I've got nothing but positive. So, it was very good, you know. You guys caught it in time, I guess, I caught it, what happened.
Madam Clerk, if you'll please,
I don't know what else I can say about it, I don't wanna step
Yeah.
over that line, without going to jail.
Madam Clerk, committee person, Du Bois is here.
I need to make a motion to adopt.
Any other questions for Chief Cook?
Put in recognition.
I'd like to make record that Committeewoman Erica Du Bois is here. Thanks. Okay, thank you, Chief Cook.
You're welcome.
Chief Palumbo, your report, please.
Just reiterate, I hope our visitors enjoyed their time at the firehouse and got to see what the guys go through on a daily basis. I did work on a grant recently with Peter Polanos, which I submitted, I believe about 3 weeks ago. So it may be another couple weeks till we hear if we were successful in one of them. We are looking into a couple other grants for other equipment and gear. Fire department, we just completed our confined space training that we are the rescue team for the event of DPW enters all the pump stations, and they're below grade, about 30 feet below grade. So in the event there's an emergency, they have to have a standby team, which is fire department. So mandatory training we just did with the Bulldog training. We also are in the beginning stages of the new radios that are coming in. There's a lot of release forms that have to be signed by the towns participating, as well as the New Jersey State Police, because it's their infrastructure. So the positive note down the road with that radio system is it's the state police infrastructure that we'll be using. So there's going to be a fee that we only pay per radio. However, we don't have to maintain all the larger antennas and the nuts and bolts of the system. So the radios are a little costly due to safety parts that are in there. We also was unable to make I prepared for the high school, and all the schools just did their safety drill, their last safety drill for the year. But we were just getting bounced around, so we couldn't make it. But we prepped and spoke with Miss Atherton from the school, which is retiring next week as well. As far as, we did have some visits from the Girl Scout troop again. We were rained out for the Memorial Day parade. But we also had several incidents, but we did have a serious car accident mid-month with the motor vehicle crash that went into a tree right by golf course, and we did land a helicopter late evening behind the high school. And he, last I've heard, did survive. So other than that, if there's any questions, I'm more than happy to answer.
Any questions?
No, thank you.
All right, thank you, Chief.
Mr. Shahadi, your report, please.
Okay, I have quite a bit of things on the report. I will try to go through them as quickly as possible. The first thing, the Chief touched on that, which was our grants. I want to just give you a quick rundown of our grant statuses. Things have been going very well with Millennium Strategies. So far, they have applied for a number of grants. We've got a grant for $10,000 to the DEP, another $11,000 on behalf of the fire department for firehouse subs. We've got another $30,000 for NJ Transit for some senior citizen and individuals with disabilities, mobility enhancements. Another $151,000 for the Department of Agriculture for our farmers market program, and another $442,000 for the DOT for our transportation grant for Mountain Avenue streetscape improvements. We've received $75,000 from the Municipal Aid and Infrastructure Grant, which we normally do. Mr. Mardini applies for those, but they helped us this year, which Mr. Martini is typically inundated with a lot of other work, so they helped us with that, and we got $75,000. That's for Juniper Way and Timber Acres Road. And we also got an award from the USA Lacrosse Soft Stick Program, which was a grant that we won. That was for 30 lacrosse sticks, the balls, coaching guides to help. So these are some of the things that Millennium has done for us.
I have to say, we were proud to accept both checks. We also received a $25,000 senior focus check
Yes,
behind that.
and so those are the checks. Mr. Bergen, our freeholder chairman, presented those. You and
Carrie Ann and Erica.
Committeewoman Bujanowski and Committeewoman Du Bois were in attendance and received those checks. The students saw those, and I think maybe took selfies with some of those big checks. No? You can't cash them. And so we've got a lot of work going on there by the program. On the agenda today, you'll see another grant application for Pet Safe Bark for Your Park contest. Mr. Mardini, Mr. Betcher, Mr. Lieb, and I were looking at places where we could put together a dog park in the town as well. If we get this grant, it would be great. $25,000 is available for that. It's just a preliminary program. We'd have to come back to you, obviously, for all the approvals, but we figured let's get something in before the deadline, and we can work out even more of the specifics there. And there's a couple other grants that are in the works, $250,000 for a direct install program, which Mr. Betcher is working with Mr. Blanos on, and another $300,000 for DOT for some infrastructure improvements. So that's, any questions on the grants?
So just a quick question, is that from our underwriters or our grant writers?
The grant writers are working on these,
Okay,
yes.
so that's, I mean, what have we actually realized as far as grants?
The one that they worked on that we got, which is the lacrosse program, that's the
Okay.
one that we got. The municipal aid from the county, the $75,000, they helped us with that. They didn't do that entirely on their own.
Okay.
So I don't want to give them all the credit on that,
Right,
to be fair. But we've got, as I mentioned, we've got about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 more grant applications totaling almost $750,000, almost $1 million, that's outstanding right now that we should hopefully hear about in the next few months.
Okay, great.
Okay, the next item, just want to let you know, the energy auction. There's a resolution on the agenda for today. The auction occurred just earlier today. I was watching it online as it was happening. We, on average, the average homeowner uses about 7,600 kilowatt hours for the year. Currently, the average for electric that we're served by JCP&L is 9.44 cents. That's the average for the year. It fluctuates. That represents almost $717 for electric for the average homeowner in a year. They bid. The bids did not. The auction didn't go as well as any of us were hoping. Actually, the winning bid came in at 9.03 cents. So 9.44 versus 9.03. Doing the math, that comes out to be only a savings of about $31 for the year. I told them I would present it to the governing body, but my recommendation would not be to go with that, because I don't think $31 is enough of a savings for us to go through the headache of, even though we don't have to do much of the work, you're gonna get calls, you're gonna get letters, you're gonna get, $31 for the year is not worth it. I went back to them and I said, this is, it's up to them, but I'm not recommending it. They went back, and as we're sitting in this meeting, they came back to me and they told me that the winning bidder sharpened their pencils a little bit more, and they went back down to 8.89 cents per kilowatt hour. That has created a savings on average of $42. So instead of about $30, it's up to $42 for the year. It's something, they were expecting somewhere on the ballpark of about 10%. 10%, that's what you go with. You're really not going to do better than 10%. So they're at about 8-point-something%. So it's a savings. It's not a huge savings. It may be worth more trouble than it is. That would be for a term of 24 months, so it's a 2-year contract. I bring that up to you to discuss now if there's any questions. Otherwise, there's no sense in introducing the resolution later on.
No.
Is there any chance of them coming back one more time?
That's it. Yeah, that's it.
That's their best?
That's their best and final offer.
I mean, for $41, I
We were
don't know
going
if it's
for more
worth
when we
the
first brought it up years
paperwork.
ago.
Yeah.
Years ago, we tried getting more, and then it goes off. I've gotten either letters and I think phone calls about electricity.
Yeah, residents will get solicited independently by companies looking to do it on a one-on-one basis. And that's what's so disappointing about this, is that we're aggregating millions of kilowatt hours for them, and so they really should be coming in at a better offer than that. It's up to you, but if not, if you don't want to go through with it, you just say that now, just so that way you can strike that resolution from the agenda, which I believe is,
Try again when we think it's better.
Yeah. I'm for,
Put it
I
in.
I
Try it
don't
again
think it's
later.
worth it. Yeah, I agree.
all right, so just don't, it's resolution 2017-171. I just disregard that, not introduce it.
Okay, so we will disregard 171.
So that's the next item. The other item, just want to inform you, on June 22nd, we're going to be doing an in-service employee training day. All the employees are going to be going through training. We're going to be doing annual required training, things like sexual harassment, discrimination, ethics, Oprah, a number of things. So we're going to be closing to the public that day. Employees are still working, but we'll be closed to the public that day. We've got representatives from our insurance carrier, from various safety training programs that will be coming here, putting on pretty much all-day training, right to know, OSHA, workplace safety, Public Works will be holding their own as well. And so just want to inform you all about that. We'll put it on the website, we'll put it on TV station, social media, we'll put signs up at the windows just so people know. But didn't want you being caught off guard by that. Also, all clear, as Mr. Huber, you noted that, a letter went out concerning the data security incident that happened with our server.
Yeah.
Letters went out, and I did get a report. We get reports regularly from the company that's been doing this for us, that has been handling all the calls. So aside from the several hundred calls that have been coming here to police dispatch, police records, the administration offices, clerk, the court, everybody's been getting calls on that, to the tune of several hundred. I'm sure you, as the members of the governing body, have. We've also been getting calls to the call center, and they've handled so far, they've received a total of 757 calls, and most of them have been in just the course of 3 days, the 9th, the 10th, and the 12th. That's when letters actually hit homes. That's the trend that I saw. And, the feedback, as you said, has been positive. It's an unfortunate incident. It happened. We wanted to be proactive, thanks to your guidance and direction. A lot of the people that are calling are they want to know why they were in the database. And that information is confidential, but it could be for a variety of reasons that is non-criminal. If you call the police department, if you want an overnight parking pass, if you got a ticket or you were a witness to an accident.
So.
Right. So I did send you all FAQs, and for anybody watching or in the public, you go to the website, and there's a link on the right-hand side that says 2017 Data Security Incident, which has frequently asked questions and additional information on
Can I
that.
ask you a question about that?
Yes, sir.
I got asked by somebody at the pool, came up to me and asked me, was it, if they registered their children, was that part of it?
No. Strictly
See, that's
for
what they said it was, and I said, I can't answer that. I told them.
I'm sorry, if you mean they registered for the pool, they registered?
No,
their children for the-
registered,
As part of the fingerprinting?
That was,
or-
no, that was the same question I had said to you. I had residents indicating that their children were actually getting the
Yes,
same
the
letters.
yes, you're right.
Why is my child getting a letter that their information was breached on the police department when they're a minor? That is what I've been addressing.
That was,
And that they could be in the system again for if they were in a motor vehicle that happened to be in an accident, then their information could have been taken down. Chief, is that accurate?
Yes, that's accurate. I mean, we list names and ages for accident reports for insurance purposes.
Right.
So the names do get into the system that way.
I just want to make sure of that.
Yeah, I had that too.
Yeah, because they asked me. Okay, I appreciate it.
All right.
Anybody else? Any other questions?
All right, the last thing I just want to bring to you is something that a resident had contacted me about, a few residents actually. The situation on Irwin Rosner, just want to update you. We've put down gravel. Residents in that area have been complaining about the changes in their neighborhood over the years and how it's not the quiet street that they used to live on. And they were promised that that little area at the end by the shack would be reseeded and returned to its original condition. Just want to remind you that, yes, that is still the plan. It is going to be reseeded. You don't plant grass when temperatures hit 90 degrees, and we didn't want it to turn into a muddy mess and have runoff. That's why the gravel is there. The plan is still, and I spoke to Mr. Betcher and he confirmed that, plan is still to seed that this fall. So just letting them know. One thing that came up is that, some people have complained about the fact that the games are still occurring up as late as 10 p.m. And just wanted to let you know that that is a concern of residents. If you want to change that to make it earlier, that's up to you, but, you know, we feel that that is needed in order to handle the volume of activities and the games in the area, and that 10 o'clock is an ample time, but,
Whatever the ordinance says.
okay.
Oh, you talk about ball fields and that, and Adam. What about the lights over at Chisholm, are they on?
They have not been completely turned on. They're still, we're gonna do testing, we're gonna have a little mini ribbon cutting. Adam's been, probably in the next week or two, it should be all final.
I was wondering about that, I forgot to ask.
Yep.
I've had a few questions about that too. So about 2 weeks. max.
Yeah, I would say about a week to 2 weeks. Adam just wants to make sure that all the kinks are worked out. These are automatic lights, there's scheduling and all that, so.
Does the ordinance say 10 o'clock? The lights have to go out? I don't know.
At the park, I'll have to double check. I don't think we have an ordinance that actually addresses that. I think there's a general parks ordinance that says public can't be in the park after dusk, but there's no, you know, though that's for general park purposes. We're putting lights in there so people can play beyond dusk. So
Yeah.
I don't think we have an actual ordinance that addresses that.
Okay,
But I'll
That's something I
confirm.
think we need to address.
yeah, well, look at it.
Alright, I'm not sure if the children have a time constraint.
3:15, they need to be leaving, so
You gotta go now, or?
they should probably get going now. You want to take a break? If that's what you're looking
Yeah, actually, yeah, are you done with your report?
I'm done with my report for
Okay.
administration.
All right, so let's take a 2-minute break and thank our children. Thank you guys for
Thank
coming
you.
today. And I hope you guys have a good day. I hope you enjoy being there.
You could be mayor someday. See, you could be mayor.
All right.
There we go.
Come on now.
Thank you.
You're welcome, thank you very much.
You can take this if you want. Do you want a copy of this? Yeah, you can take that too. There you go.
Yeah.
It's a lot of fun. Have a good summer.
Good to see you. Where? Oh, there you are. What's up, woman? How are you? You look very fresh over there.
Do they want one of each shot?
Maria.
Can I have a water? Would it be a problem?
Thank you so much. We can't do it without her.
I appreciate it. I'm such a diva.
Do you need the chiefs to stay?
No, they're done with their reports.
Yeah. There's no, does anybody have any questions for the chiefs?
No, I
No. You guys can go if you want.
You know what, so I just want to thank everybody. Rob, I want to thank Rob again, and fire and police for the Memorial Day ceremony, for their help. Unfortunately, we didn't have a parade, but the ceremony was, I think, worked out really well. And hopefully next year, we're looking for better weather. So, thanks everybody for coming out. The Elks wound up giving out 200 hot dogs, and again, the weather was awful.
Really?
so-
That many, I didn't think that many people went over there.
Well, you know what, I really, they started making the hot dogs, I felt bad, I couldn't have them be stuck with all those hot
I
dogs.
heard
so.
I would've
Ezekiel's
eaten them
house.
all.
I heard Ezekiel's house frozen in the freezer. That's his dinner for the next,
So again, thank you, everybody.
okay.
Are we usually need for the mayor, or?
Yes.
Maria,
Yeah, we need it.
I'm good. Hey, Mike, I can't see you yet, my glasses. Where's my son? What do I do? They can get in touch with me. I'm not the last one, see?
Okay.
Thank you, Maria.
We're gonna move on to minutes and reports. At this time, we will accept the building department reports for May 2017 as submitted. We'll also accept the municipal court report for May 2017 as submitted, and the flood mitigation committee minutes of April 18th and May 16, 2017 as submitted.
Just want to make mention that a couple of people have told me that our municipal court is very good, and they appreciate the judge and, I guess, the prosecutor, whoever, the lawyers there. They say it's very professional and very good.
Good.
So I'm just,
I'd like to hear that. Thank you.
I mean, they should get some recognition.
Okay, let's move on to new business. We have a second reading. Madam Clerk, can you please read the ordinance by title?
Ordinance 2017-09. This bond ordinance authorizes the making of various public improvements in, by, and for the swimming pool utility of the Township of Springfield in the County of Union, State of New Jersey, to appropriate the sum of $1,400,000 to pay the cost thereof, to make a down payment, to authorize the issuance of bonds to refinance such appropriation, and to provide for the issuance of bond anticipation notes in anticipation of the issuance of such bonds.
I make a motion to adopt ordinance 2017-09 as read by Madam Clerk.
Second.
At this time, if anybody from the public has any questions regarding 2017-09, please come forward. Okay, seeing none. Anybody up here would like to discuss this further?
No.
Okay, Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Committeewoman Bujanowski?
Yes.
Committeeman Huber?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Vassallo?
Yes.
Mayor Stamfoulis?
Yes.
And, I'm sorry, Committeewoman
Du Bois, yes. Sorry to mess everything up.
Okay, we have a first reading for the next ordinance. Madam Clerk, could you please read that ordinance by title?
Ordinance 2017-10, this ordinance amends Chapter 7, parking prohibited at all times on certain streets of the general ordinances of the township by amending Caldwell Place and Mizell Avenue.
I move ordinance 2017-10 as read by Madam Clerk.
I second.
Deputy Mayor Vassallo?
Yes.
No, wait,
Oh, you
anybody,
Oh, any discussion?
anybody have any questions? No?
Saying to read it.
We're all good?
I'm saying to read it.
Okay. Roll call, please.
Deputy Mayor Vassallo?
Yes.
Committeewoman Du Bois?
Yes.
Committeewoman Bujanowski?
Yes.
Committeeman Huber?
Yes.
Mayor Stamfoulis?
Yes. Okay. Let's adopt the following -158, 2017-159, 2017-160, 2017-161, 2017-162, 2017-163, 2017-164, 2017-165, 2017-166, 2017-167, 2017-168, 2017-169, and 2017-170. No,
71 was
out.
pulled, 71 was
It's
pulled.
I make a motion to adopt the ordinances by consensus, 2001-17, 154, 155, 156, 157, 158, 159, 160, 161, 162, 163, 164, 165, 166, 167, 168, 169, and 170.
Second.
Madam Clerk?
Committeewoman Bujanowski?
Yes.
Committeeman Huber?
Yes.
Committeewoman Du Bois?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Fasano?
Yes.
Mayor Stamkoulis?
Yes. Okay, at this time, we're gonna discuss our next meeting. So we have, some changes for July. We are canceling, July 11th and the 25th in order to hold our joint meeting with the Board of Ed as required for the governor's best practice on Monday, July 17th at 6 PM.
I move to cancel the meetings of July 11th and 25th to hold joint meeting with the Board of Education as required for governor's best practices on Monday, July 17th at 6 PM at the high school IMC, followed by the Township Committee meeting at 7 PM at Municipal Building.
Good enough. I know, August.
And note that the August meeting has been noticed to be held on August 15th, the third Tuesday.
Second.
All in favor?
Yes.
Any objections? Any abstentions? Okay.
Madam Chairman, request from disability resident of Springfield Senior Citizens Building for senior individual rate for municipal pool, as was approved in 2016.
I second?
Well, that's a roll call, I'm sorry. Madam Clerk?
Committeeman Huber?
Yes.
Committeewoman Bujanowski?
Yes.
Committeewoman Du Bois?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Fasano?
Yes.
Mayor Stamkoulis?
Yes. Okay.
I move to approve an on-premise raffle license number 1271 to the Brotherhood of Temple Sherei Shalom, drawing to be held on December 3rd, 2017, at 78 South Springfield Avenue.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any objections? Any abstentions?
Jerry.
Oh, I approve, I move to approve on-premise 50/50 raffle license 1272, merchandise raffle number 1273, and off-premise 50/50 raffle license 1274 to Brotherhood of Tempe Sherei Shalom, drawings to be held on January 4th, 2018 at 78 South Springfield Avenue.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any objections? Any abstentions? Okay, thank you. Okay, we have a few correspondence. The State of New Jersey, DOT, we have a municipal aid program for Lawrence Ave with an award of $195,000.
Nope, that's a nice grant. Thank you, Mr. Mardini, for your hard work on that.
Let's see, Westfield Ordinance 2082, it says amend land use, which is the final hearing on June 6th at 8 PM. And also, there's a correspondence from Fanwood for Resolution 17-06124, supporting goals of Paris Climate Accord. Okay, let's move on to any unfinished business. Anyone?
I brought up a while ago about us supporting other towns, and I really think we should do something for it. If it's an ordinance or if it's a resolution, to show other towns that we support it. We needed other towns last week, 2 weeks ago, Mr. Betcher, with that, and they helped us out. I think we should just all it is a letter or an ordinance or a resolution, just to help the people, show that we back them, with the pipeline and things like that. That's my opinion. We never take a formal vote on it, but I really think we should.
Okay, any other unfinished business? Okay, let's move on to public comment. At this time, anyone from the public, please come forward for any governmental issue, state your name and address, and be mindful of our 5-minute time limit. Thank you.
Whole time. I'm gonna.
They'll adjust it.
You can just hear me.
Yeah.
It's all right.
Please state your name and address for the record.
So my name is Maria Rakova, and I represent 114 Adams Terrace. Quite a large dependency over there in the corner, and regarding something that you said a little bit earlier, and your confirmation.
Maybe you could,
Oh, well, thank you. It's like America's Idol.
again?
Maria Rakova, 114 Adams Terrace, Springfield, New Jersey. How do you spell it?
Last name.
Rakova.
Thank you.
All right. So I'm here to talk about the 114 Adams Terrace in a little park called Urban Place. Hopefully you guys all know it. There are 3 parts I want to talk about. 1, how it started. 2, where it currently is. And 3 is the future of it. All in under 5 minutes. So first of all, I have lived in Springfield for quite a long time. I have been associated with Springfield for a long time. But the reason we bought the house was because it was a quaint little place with a quaint little baseball field with a nice courts and a wonderful childcare facility, not the childcare, the little park. It was lovely. As a matter of fact, that's how it's described on MapQuest, a quaint little place. The evolution started, and I do believe in evolution. I do believe things have to improve and increase. Well, first, the little baseball field for local baseball games did not become a local baseball field. It became a large baseball field. They brought new bleachers. Makes sense. They brought more guardrails. Makes sense. They put more advertisement. Still makes sense. Then they put a bright light that always on at night. Slightly disturbing, actually extremely distracting when it's lights in your window. Now, you mentioned that it's probably 10 o'clock. We actually have some photos here that you guys can see what it looks like at nighttime.
You just give them to Madam Clerk.
Here we go.
Yes. Thank you.
This is what it looks like from across the street. It's actually a very nice photo. It actually looks much worse. So that makes sense. So you have the light, all right, so maybe it's a little more security, I understand that. Then they built a concession center. So you say, okay, concession center is like really nice, really quaint, but it's permanent. And it's brick, and it's always there. And now we have trucks bringing food there.
But that's been there for a long time.
Oh, I
The
understand.
building.
It's evolution. Almost there. I almost got
That's been
there.
there for a long time.
Exactly. So in the meantime, we had this beautiful little playground on the other side. Well, they moved it right next to our baseball field. So that's kind of nice because parents can play now. That makes sense. With the exception, now you have this gigantic number of games. Oh, by the way, did I tell you how many games we have? I looked it up. It's 505 lines worth of a spreadsheet. I could not even print it. 500 lines. So what happens? This is our street and our awesome parking signs. You can park there. I come visit, I can't park. The kids can play. And so now we have this gigantic park across the street. Now we have a parking issue. Now we have the light at night. Now we have the food truck. Now we have also, by the way, I forgot to mention, we have a basketball court behind the tennis courts, which now have everybody coming to play. Now, how do I know that everybody's coming to play from outside of town? Because I hear foul language every day. I go to play tennis with my child, who's, by the way, 12, the 7th grader, and all I hear are the words I cannot say here. Now, the good news is my neighbors can say it because they wrote letters. And they quoted what they hear, and they quoted what they found. What they found were things that you probably don't want to say out loud either. So now we have this dilemma. So the evolution has come. Now we moved to a quaint little town. Now we live in a neighborhood, agree, that supports 500 lines of games, that has a permanent concession stand. Oh, we're not even going to talk about the golf tournaments, right? Because we have buses parked there, idling. Oh, we have now parking lots light up. It's amazing. So now, where we're here now, and this is the reason why I'm a little bit upset about the answer that they're going to recede in the spring or the fall.
Cool.
Because, right, so let's be honest. Perception is reality, right? So about a month ago, maybe 3 months ago, we had a little meadow left next to the concession center. That was the last thing we had of a nice little quaint park. The trucks came in, took the grass off, and they said they're going to reseed it, right? That's what happened. And then they said, well, we couldn't reseed in time or put more grass in time, so we're going to put gravel there. But don't worry about it, because in this fall, we're going to come back and we're going to bring it back. So this is our meadow now. You guys can take a look at that. Those are the baseball games. So you mentioned there must be the coaches being parked there. If those games have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 coaches, that's a big deal. But they're not parked there just during the morning. Don't worry about it. They're there with us. They protect us, and they are there through nighttime. So, all right, so we've gone through evolution. We have gone through the current state. We have letters here more. I'll be happy to, they have handwritten letters. They have printed letters. We have every possible letter we can share with you. But now I want to talk to you about the future. Because you guys are all residents of Springfield, and I'm under 5 minutes still.
That's okay.
But what do we do now? How do we bring it back?
I mean, I think my concern is, what would you like to address first? Because there's many pictures here, the lights, the parking, the lots.
Exactly, so that's a great question.
Would you like me, so how about?
So I want to address, the first things I want to address is immediate stop of the parking lot at Meadows. That's number one. That has to be completely blocked off. There has to be no perception about this being a parking lot. That's number one. Number two, I want to address the parking situation where it's not adhered to.
Okay, and I'm glad that you mentioned that, because Chief Cook, you're here. Have you received phone calls from these residents regarding people parking when there's no parking signs?
Hold on.
Okay, 1 second.
Okay, personally, I'm not aware of an issue. I know last year there was, and we addressed that by revising our ordinances to make it more strict. I haven't heard that there's an issue. If I had known there's an issue, my guys will certainly be there enforcing. So that's the case. I mean, certainly we'll take care of that.
Sir, you cannot
Can't
shout
speak
from
for
the
them.
audience, okay?
Well, I'll be happy.
No, it's
No,
when you're
one
done
person at a
speaking.
time.
It's 1%
It's
at a
only one
time.
person at a time allowed to speak.
Well, this is Larry, who is my neighbor, who did call the police. I'm sure he did call it probably more than 7 times. He's just afraid to admit it. So yes, he
Right, and I
call.
did say I personally, is what I
Right.
did say, because I personally would have addressed it if I'd known there was an issue.
Right.
So-
No, I understand.
So I think the point, though, Mr. Rakova, on this is not that anybody's ignoring that. It's, as you see the incident, it needs to be called to the police department, they will respond to it. Police department responds to every call. If there's that is being seen, just call the police department. You can call either 911 or the non-emergency line, and they will respond to that.
Right,
So
no, that's
that-
fair.
that
So like I
addresses
said, there's a whole that's why I brought you through the evolution of how it's all taking place. What I'm hoping for is we can reverse that evolution.
Well, that's the thing, is you're not going to reverse that evolution. It's a park. It's intended to be used. There's growing sports programs in the community. You live next to a park. It's going to be used and improved. We get numbers of grants. We get a lot of opportunities to fix these parks, to enhance the recreational services of the community. So it's not going to be reversed. If there are issues, then we'll address them. You mentioned the parking, and that's why I said if you have an issue with the parking, anybody in that area can call the police department, either the emergency line or the non-emergency line, and report the parking violations, and they will address those. As for
All right, that's
the
number one.
as for the grass, we didn't call it a meadow. It was an overgrown area. It wasn't a meadow. Regardless, semantics aside, I did email I don't know if it was you or a relative of yours,
It's probably my mother over there, yes.
Elena Rakova, yes.
my mother.
To explain to her that, again, it will be seeded in the fall. They didn't do this of their own free will. We wanted to make sure that there wasn't runoff of the soil, and we wanted to make sure that the mess didn't turn out to be more than what it was, and it's planned to be reseeded in the fall. So when that happens, then you will see no more gravel and no more parking over there.
Okay, what about the cars currently parked there?
Sure.
As far as the cars parked currently there, again, call the police department if they're
No,
not allowed to be.
in that area.
Sir,
Sir,
I've told you
can't
once
speak
before.
until you have the microphone.
But
Please.
folks, you have to understand the frustration, and I'm sure, I mean, you guys are all residents, so you have to
we do.
understand that years of abuse of the, I know you're saying we live there, you're right.
But ma'am,
Hold on,
so the
sir.
point is to fix
Sir.
those, you call the police department.
Are you
But I know, but
interrupting
I'm trying to answer all your questions.
I didn't answer
Provided
yet. I
seven-
made a statement. Our taxes are going up significantly, right, as the evolution does. So all the grants that you're receiving from all of the sports programs, they're obviously not going into the benefit of my particular street that is suffering from it, because we have to suffer through the bus emissions. We now live literally on the parking lot, because it
Okay.
has not been marked as we did. So let's address I didn't mean to interrupt you, but you interrupted me, so I had to stop.
No, I thought you were completed and you wanted answers, did
Okay.
you not?
Yes.
We can keep going back and forth with what's worse, what's better, all this stuff. That's not going to resolve the issues. I'm
Right.
trying to resolve your issues so you
Okay.
can move on, okay?
Let's
Adding more things like the taxes and all, I don't think that really contributes to resolving this. The parking in the parking lot, if there are issues, again, call the police department and they will address those. This governing body leaves enforcement to the police department. This township committee is not
That's
going to
perfectly
be
fine.
able, so.
So the coaches are not allowed to park there, to be clear.
That's not a parking area, so no, you can call the police
Okay,
department and
the
they will.
gentleman allowed the coaches to park there, which is fine. I'm not calling you out in any way, I'm just
Yeah,
saying
no,
that,
I-
not in a bad way, at
We
least.
had talked about it, and
Yeah.
they were allowed to park.
Okay, so from now on, they're not allowed to park there, so it's no longer considered a parking area at all for anybody related to the game, correct?
No,
It never was a parking area. If they're making use of it as a parking area, then they're making use of it as a parking area. Call the police department, they will ensure that the ordinances are upheld and enforced.
Okay, so that's a fact. It's not a parking lot, nobody's parking there. In the fall, they're reseeding it, perfect. Excellent. How can we handle the continuous nighttime playing?
Play ends at 10 o'clock, and if the lights are on past that, I know for several years I've also gotten calls about that. If the lights are on past 10 o'clock, police department, I believe, has a key to those lights, if I'm not mistaken. Sometimes people tamper with those lights. They're not supposed to be on past 10 o'clock. Either the police department will take care of them, or they will contact the rec director, and we'll find
Okay.
out why they're on past 10 o'clock.
Perfect. Third one, what about, which is a little bit unrelated to the baseball field, the basketball courts. How do we secure I forgot to share my lovely letters. Hold on. You guys can read it in the nighttime.
the way we took care of the other basketball courts, how did we take care of it?
What's the issue with the basketball courts?
The basketball courts are not used by or at least I assume they're not used by Springfield residents, but even if it doesn't matter who they are, they use foul language, they are slightly disrespectful to other genders, they're just not the citizens we like to have, or the
that-
behavior, not the behavior.
Yeah, well, because those are assumptions that have been made in the past about people utilizing these courts, and it's not an unfair or accurate assessment. In the same situation where we had that happen at other pocket parks, the direction again was to call the police department, and the police department had gone out in the past to other parks and spoke with them about their language and their behavior and their conduct, and that is again what I would suggest.
So
are
that's a fair
enforcement
That's a
issues,
fair
yes.
statement. And since you're here, I'll just ask you formally to please take the court under your wing and maybe send a little bit extra force and just make sure that that everybody.
Sure, and if there are issues there, if you let us know at that time.
Yep.
If we receive a call and you don't get a response, as been stated, then I need to know about that, because then they're not doing their job. So
Correct.
I hold my guys accountable. If there's all these calls coming in, there's no police response, as again been alleged, then I have a problem with that, so I need to know about it personally.
Okay. Well, I know that I'm not allowed to, I'm going to get from the mic.
Ma'am, I'm sorry, again, as we said to the other gentleman, you can't shout from the audience.
Right. So I'm going to hand over the mic.
Ma'am, you're still
Ma'am,
shouting from the audience.
Can't shout from the audience.
I'll just transfer.
My name is Larry Finnis. This affects me the most. I live
State your name and address.
Larry Finnis, 139 Irwin Street.
Thank you.
It affects me the most because this is directly in front of my home. I was told by Ferreira that they were told to stop the reseeding process, okay? Because someone in town evidently had intentions to park there. Okay? I came in 2 weeks ago to complain. They sent someone out, they put temporary barricades, and the very next day they were removed. That's very disrespectful. That's not honoring my request. I'm a taxpayer. I lived in that corner for 15 years. Never had a problem. Well, after all these things that occurred, as you just stated, I never complained. I even came 1 year for the lights, and you guys still put them up. Fine, I'm all for the kids. Now it's at the point it's affecting the neighborhood. They got low lives not parking on that stones over there. I called the police department 3 times. They told me they have no jurisdiction over that parking lot. It's the Little League. That's very disrespectful. They came the very following day and they took the barricades away. Everybody's back parking in the field there. This tractor trailer coming with Coca-Cola. That's no longer a little local field. That field is leased. You guys are generating revenues. All that we're asking is for you to clean the area back and reseed it. You don't have to wait till the fall to do that, because evidently it's all gonna get squashed out. He gave me his word, Mr. Herbert. But obviously,
What's gonna get squashed out? I'm sorry.
No, it's gonna,
It's
I
gonna
told
get
him, I
receded.
said,
Why we have to
I
wait
give
till
my
the fall
word
to get
for all,
receded?
it
Why
would be
can't you do it
receded.
now? I'm a
Because-
contractor. You can seed that. You can clean it up and seed it. The seed will grow. I'll even personally go water it.
Okay, we're gonna see it in the fall, sir.
What about the cars that are parking there now? Why do they have to park there? Why can't, there's half of the spaces are free there. Everybody now, what's happening now?
Sir, I'm sorry, did you hear what I just told to Ms. Rakova? If people are parking there, just call the police
I
department.
did.
to be
They
addressed.
told me I have no jurisdiction. I came in, I even saw that gentleman there, and he rerouted me to somebody else. And I saw somebody else, they put barricades. It's very, it's frustrating.
Okay, did the town remove the barricades?
I don't know, somebody, it was the
Okay.
trucks, there was the trucks from the town. They put them in one day, next day they took them out, people back parking there again.
Okay.
What was the concept behind all that?
I don't know. I'm not the one who put the
he
barricades.
he wasn't here, I got calls about it, and we had agreed that the coaches could park up there for this year. And that is the only reason that they, you shouldn't say to him, you can yell at me if you want.
It's not
And
the
I
coaches,
said,
it's not the coaches, it's
I let him
everyone
do
because
it.
now it's becoming a convenience. It's not the coaches. We have pictures, not the coaches. That's becoming an official park line now, and I'm afraid that everybody's gonna fight you. All these moms that have like benefits them, it doesn't
No.
affect them because they don't live in the neighborhood. I do. It's degrading the neighborhood. I invested $750,000 to do a renovation of my house. I'm not gonna allow them to degrade it and depreciate my property value because it's convenient for somebody to park there. I'm sorry.
And I told you, I said, I promised you, when I give my word to somebody, I promise
respect
you,
that. I
the
respect
fall, it will be done.
I
The thing that
respect
I'm concerned about with your pictures, whatever it is the lights. The light seems to be shining there. I gotta see if someone adjusted them,
Hopefully they can respect
To-
the hours. I'm not
Uh,
asking to
they're
take them
different
down.
ways.
Somebody can respect the hours.
and the gentleman who just left here, I spoke to, Mr. Molman, he said when they got the lights, he thought there was an agreement that it was a certain time. I will check it, and we'll check through everything, and back with that, with the baseball league, and it's supposed to be done. It's supposed to be on a timer. I don't know if it is. I don't go past there at 7
No,
o'clock.
those lights go on at 5:30.
What time,
They
what
go on-
time do you feel they're on that is too late? Like, what time are
The
you?
lights sometimes, and on several occasions, they've been out all night because they didn't work or they need to shut them off. Some nights,
I
by the
think
time,
you-
I'm sorry,
Yeah,
go ahead.
I'm sorry. I think at this point too, you need, whoever has the key to that needs to give one to the police department.
Oh, yeah.
So
I
from
will.
here on in, if the timer isn't working, or if there's a power outage, or either one, somebody else can shut that light off. So we
Yes.
don't have this issue. And regarding to the light ordinance, we're gonna look into that, because that was a concern earlier in the meeting. So we will take care
My
of that.
concern right now, the lights are there. You guys invested a lot of money to put those lights.
And I agree with
That's
you.
not my concern. My concern is the area becoming a park lot. I'm sorry, but that's not acceptable.
We're gonna have that.
It's not acceptable at all. It's depreciating that corner. That corner is becoming horrible. There's people park, my kids are afraid, it's directly in front of my home. It's directly, it was never parking lot, been here for 15 years. Now, because they use the excuse of Ferreira's parking lot, oh, we got an instant overnight sensation here, that shouldn't be justified. You know, I'm sorry, I'm taking your word. I'm taking your word. Otherwise, I have to go, I'll take house means I'm gonna put attorneys, because it's not acceptable that if this is not accomplished. Because I feel that you guys can do it now, but if you feel that you wanna do it in the fall, I'm taking your word. All I'm telling you, because you're gonna have all these people fighting, oh, it's so easy, so convenient. Convenient for people who don't live in the neighborhood, it's not convenient for us.
I will give you my word, and Mr. Hardy and I will make sure it gets done in the fall.
Are you
I promise.
gonna end the people from parking, at least put signs there so people don't park and make a habit of it until that occurs? Or is that just gonna be like, back to basics kind of thing?
Why
Because you have a picture, the barricades were there for a whole day. You should give that picture to you?
Mr. Shahadi is gonna find out who put those barricades up and who removed them, and let's instruct them to put those barricades up until we can resolve this issue, okay?
As long as I have your word that it's gonna be seated again.
It will be
That's all-
seated
that's all I'm
in
looking for. I mean, I'm not
the
here to make a
fall,
big
you
mess.
know,
I mean,
September, whenever they do it. I don't know that much about gardening, to be honest with you, but it will be done.
Okay,
Absolutely. Thank you for your time.
thank you.
You wanted to say something?
Your name and address, please?
I'm a mother of.
Address?
114 Adams Terrace.
Okay.
I'm the one who wrote the letter.
Speaking of microphone, so they can hear you.
Yes, I cannot add much. I just want to say about, take my word. Several years ago, there was a tournament, and the guys, they opened fence or whatever, immediately lines were in front of my house, and I don't know, was it you or somebody else? I came, I'm very patient, and I'm saying,
guys, we cannot live like that. I would live in parking lot now. Take my word. I will immediately after the end, everything will be taken away. I'm just telling you, yeah, I'm here for 20-something years. Yeah, 20. I'm going, you can see I'm not a young girl like my daughter. I'm going to sell my house. Nobody wants to look at this because I live in the parking lot. And I think that grass is, of course it's important. Lights, of course it's important, but maybe even better when lights on, because what's going on there? Maybe light can stop people from that. So this is what I can add, and take my word, it's not enough. I'm sorry. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. Okay, okay, thank you. Okay, at this time, we're going to move on to executive session. Madam Clerk, can you please read the resolution?
Whereas Article 6 of the Open Public Meetings Act provides that a public body may hold a closed session, whereas the Township Committee will during this meeting enter into the discussion of the following matters: personnel, recreation. Whereas the matters to be discussed in closed session are remain in the strictest of confidence by all Township Committee members in furtherance of their fiduciary duties to the Township of Springfield. Now therefore be it resolved, matters discussed at this meeting will be released to the public when the reasons for discussing and acting upon them in closed session no longer exist.
All in favor? Any objections? Any abstentions? I'd just like the public to know that we will not be taking action after. We will be adjourning the meeting. Thank you.
Thank you.
Second, all in favor? Aye.
You got it, Carl.